Captain Jarek's ship glided silently above the barren surface of the distant planet. The world below was dry and gray, with jagged rocks stretching across its surface. The atmosphere was thin, and the sun barely warmed the ground. Many explorers avoided such worlds, seeing them as empty and useless. But Jarek had a mission: to chart unclaimed planets and gather any signs of life. As he scanned the horizon, a flicker of movement caught his eye. He zoomed in with the ship's sensors. Two small figures were crawling among the rocks, moving slowly and awkwardly. Jarek frowned. The readings showed they were organic, not machines. He had encountered many alien species, but something about these two seemed fragile. He activated the ship's landing protocols and descended carefully. Dust rose from the ground as the landing thrusters touched the surface. He stepped out of the ship in his exploration suit, keeping a safe distance from the two figures. They froze, sensing his presence. Jarek lowered his voice, trying to sound calm. "I come in peace. I won't harm you." The taller of the two figures turned her head slightly. She had wide eyes that reflected a strange mixture of fear and hunger. Her sister crouched close, looking weaker, almost collapsing under her own weight. Their skin shimmered faintly under the dim sunlight, but it was clear they were starving. Jarek unfastened his pack and pulled out a ration pack. He placed it on the ground carefully, stepping back. "You need this. I can give you more if you are willing to trust me." The taller sister's eyes widened. She sniffed the air, then glanced at her sister. A soft sound escaped her throat, almost like a whisper in a language Jarek couldn't understand. After a tense moment, she slowly approached the food. Her hands trembled as she picked it up. The weaker sister crawled toward it, and Jarek saw her knees were scraped and raw. He realized they must have been wandering for days without proper nutrition. He knelt down, still keeping his hands visible. "Take it," he said gently. "There is more in my pack if you are hungry." For the first time, the sisters relaxed a little. They began to eat, not speaking, their movements careful. Jarek watched quietly. He had seen starving creatures before, but the way they moved, the intelligence behind their cautious actions, told him these were no ordinary aliens. They were survivors. Hours passed. The sisters ate in silence, occasionally looking up at him with curiosity. Jarek noticed their bodies were smaller than most humanoid species he had encountered, but their muscles were well formed under their thin frames. He guessed that hunger had hidden their strength, not destroyed it. Finally, the taller sister stood and approached him slowly. She held out a hand, not aggressively, but as if testing whether he could be trusted. Jarek extended his hand in response. When their fingers touched, a faint warmth ran through his suit. It was subtle, but he felt a connection, something beyond words. Her sister followed, hesitantly touching his other hand. Jarek smiled gently. "You are safe here," he said. "I can help you recover. My ship has medical supplies and food. You don't have to be alone anymore." The taller sister looked around nervously. "No one else?" she asked in broken basic, the universal language humans used for simple communication. "No one else. Just us," Jarek replied. The sisters exchanged a glance, then nodded slightly. They allowed him to help them into the ship. Inside, the environment was warm and well lit. They looked around with wonder, touching the walls and instruments carefully, as if everything was strange and new. Jarek offered them water and more food. The weaker sister drank quickly, almost spilling it in her eagerness. He chuckled softly. "Take it slow. You'll be stronger soon." As they ate, Jarek watched them closely. He noticed something unusual. Their eyes sometimes glowed faintly when they were excited or focused. It was subtle, but enough to make him realize these sisters had abilities beyond ordinary survival instincts. He made a mental note to observe. them carefully. After a few hours, the sisters had regained some strength. They began to move with more confidence, exploring the ship cautiously. The taller sister approached a viewport, staring at the barren planet below. She touched the glass lightly, almost as if feeling the texture of the world outside. Jarek stood behind her. "It's not much, I know," he said softly, "but there is life in the galaxy beyond this place. You don't have to wander alone anymore." She turned to him, her eyes wide and shimmering. A sound left her lips, a soft, melodic word that Jarek could not understand. Her sister echoed it softly. They looked at him expectantly, as if offering gratitude in their own way. Jarek smiled. "You don't have to give me anything," he said. "I only want to help." But he had no idea what they were planning. The sisters exchanged another glance, almost conspiratorial, and a faint smile appeared on their lips. Jarek sensed something. He couldn't explain it, but the sisters' reaction was not like any other species he had met. There was intelligence, awareness, and perhaps a gift. As night fell over the barren planet, Jarek watched the stars twinkle above. He felt a mixture of curiosity and caution. These two alien sisters were survivors, yes, but survivors with something unusual about them. And Jarek had a feeling that his simple act of feeding them would lead to something far greater than he could imagine. For now, they rested, trusting him enough to sleep near the warmth of the ship. And somewhere deep inside, Jarek knew this encounter, just a single act of kindness, was the start of a story that would change not just their lives, but the galaxy itself. The morning sun barely reached the rocky surface of the planet, casting long shadows across the barren landscape. Inside the ship, Captain Jarek checked his instruments while the two sisters, Lyra and Celia, stirred from their sleep. They moved, slowly, still recovering from days of starvation. Their faces, delicate and alien, carried the marks of exhaustion, but also a quiet determination. Jarek offered them breakfast, nutrient-rich packs designed for explorers in harsh environments. Lyra hesitated for a moment, then took the pack and opened it carefully. Celia followed, her hands trembling slightly as she accepted her share. The sisters ate quietly, occasionally exchanging soft words in their native language. Jarek could not understand them, but he noticed their eyes flick toward him often, as if watching for signs of threat or kindness. Once they finished, Jarek decided it was time to ask questions. "Where are you from?" he began gently. "Your planet? Your home? Is it far from here?" Lyra looked at him, her expression unreadable. After a pause, she spoke in broken basic, her voice soft but firm. "Our home. Destroyed. Many. Gone." Celia added quietly, "We survive." Jarek nodded, his heart heavy. He had seen the aftermath of wars before, both on Earth and in distant colonies. The loss of a home and family could change a being forever. "I will help you," he said. "You can stay on my ship, at least for now. You don't have to be alone." The sisters exchanged a glance, a mix of relief and caution in their eyes. Lyra nodded slowly. "We trust you. Little. Trust." That was a small step, but significant. Jarek understood that for many alien species, trust came slowly, especially after loss and betrayal. He decided to give them time, to let them choose to trust him fully. Over the next few hours, Jarek began to learn more about them. They were not ordinary beings. While small in size, their movements were precise, almost calculated. Celia could move swiftly, dodging objects in the ship as if predicting their path. Lyra had a curious way of sensing energy in the room, pointing out small malfunctions in the ship's instruments that even Jarek had missed. He watched quietly, fascinated. These sisters were survivors, yes, but there was more. Something unusual, something powerful. He made a mental note to observe them carefully, not with suspicion, but with curiosity. As they explored the ship, Celia approached the communications console. Her fingers brushed over the controls, and for a moment, the screen flickered. She blinked, startled, then quickly stepped back. Jarek noticed the faint glow in her eyes, the same glow he had seen yesterday. "Do you know how to use this?" he asked, cautious but curious. Celia shook her head. "Not fully. We feel." Jarek frowned slightly. "Feel?" She nodded. "Energy around machine tells what to do," Lyra added. "Not magic, nature, energy. Our blood knows." Jarek's mind raced. He had read about alien species with unusual abilities, but nothing quite like this. Their blood, or perhaps their biology, reacted to technology in a way that humans could not understand. He realized that helping them was not just an act of kindness, it was an opportunity to witness something extraordinary. Later, Jarek suggested a walk outside the ship. The planet was harsh, but safe enough for them to step onto the surface. The sisters moved cautiously, their feet brushing the jagged rocks. Celia stumbled once, and Jarek caught her gently. "Careful," he said. "It's rough here, but you will adjust." Lyra looked around, scanning the horizon. "Empty. Lonely. Like home," she murmured. Jarek nodded. "Yes, but empty places can still hold life. And sometimes, new friends." The sisters exchanged a glance, then quietly followed him back to the ship. Their bond was growing slowly but surely. They were beginning to understand that humans were not always selfish, that kindness could exist even in the cold expanse of the galaxy. That night, Jarek prepared a small meal in the ship's galley. He offered it to the sisters, who accepted it with surprising politeness. They ate in silence, their eyes occasionally meeting his. He noticed subtle changes, the way they sat more comfortably, the way they allowed him closer than before. After the meal, Lyra approached him. "Why, help us?" she asked. Jarek smiled softly. "Because it is the right thing to do. Because you needed help. And because I believe sometimes one small act can change many lives." Celia nodded, her eyes reflecting the dim light of the ship. "Change lives. Yes." For the first time, Jarek felt a deeper connection with the sisters. He realized that helping them was not just an obligation, it was the beginning of a partnership. Something told him that their meeting was not by chance. These sisters carried knowledge and abilities that could change more than just their own. Survival. They could change the course of events in the galaxy. But as he watched them rest, a small unease settled in his chest. He did not yet understand the full extent of their abilities, nor did he know how other beings in the galaxy would react if they discovered a human allied with such unusual aliens. He pushed the thought aside for now. The sisters needed rest, and he needed to earn their trust further. As the ship's lights dimmed for the night cycle, Jarek reflected on the day's events. Feeding two starving sisters had seemed like a small act of kindness, almost trivial in the vastness of space. But he now realized it was far from trivial. It was the first step in a story far greater than he could imagine, a story that would test courage, trust, and the bonds between species. Above the ship, the stars glimmered, cold and distant. But inside, there was warmth. Trust was forming. Curiosity was growing, and somewhere deep inside, Jarek knew that his simple choice to help two strangers would set a chain of events in motion, events that could ripple across the galaxy. He settled into his cabin, listening to the soft breathing of the sisters in the next room. Sleep would come, but his mind stayed alert. The galaxy was wide, full of dangers and opportunities alike. And somehow, these two alien sisters, small, fragile, but strangely powerful, had found their way into his life. Jarek could not yet see the full story, but he knew one thing for certain. This encounter, born from kindness, was only the beginning. The next morning, the planet's cold light spilled over the rocks and dust outside Jarek's ship. The sisters, Lyra and Celia, had recovered enough to move with confidence. Jarek had spent the night thinking about them, wondering what powers they might hold and what secrets they carried. Today, he hoped to learn more, not by forcing answers, but by observing and allowing trust to grow naturally. Jarek decided to take a short survey mission near the ship. "I need to map this sector," he explained, pointing at his holographic star map. "You can come if you want, but you don't have to." Lyra's eyes brightened slightly. "We help?" she asked. "Yes," Jarek replied. "If you can." Celia nodded eagerly, a spark of excitement in her eyes. For the first time, Jarek noticed a playful energy in them, a sense that they were beginning to trust him. He equipped them with light exploration suits and a few rations. Their small size made the suits look almost oversized, but they moved in them with surprising agility. As they stepped onto the rocky surface, the sisters paused to scan the terrain. Lyra's eyes flickered with that strange glow, as if she could sense hidden details in the rocks. "Danger, here," she murmured. Jarek glanced at the readings. He had detected nothing unusual. "What do you mean?" he asked. Celia crouched near a cracked rock. She pressed her hand against it, and Jarek's sensors immediately picked up a hidden energy fluctuation. "Trap. Buried," she said simply. Jarek froze. He had almost walked into a natural but unstable fissure, which could have collapsed under his weight. "Good catch," he said, impressed. "How did you know?" The sisters exchanged a glance. "Feel energy. Patterns," Lyra explained. "Our blood. Senses." Jarek realized their abilities were far more advanced than he had suspected. They could sense energy in the environment, something that most alien species could not. And it was not just instinct, there was intelligence behind it. He could see that they were capable of guiding him safely through areas that could have been deadly. As they continued exploring, Celia noticed an unusual crystal embedded in the rock face. She reached out and touched it lightly. The crystal pulsed, faintly, and Jarek felt a vibration through the ship's communicator. "That's unusual," he muttered. "I've never seen a crystal like this." Lyra stepped closer and held her hands over the crystal. The glow in her eyes intensified, and the crystal began to hum softly. Jarek watched, astonished, as the crystal's energy seemed to flow into the sisters, enhancing the faint glow around them. "What are you doing?" he asked carefully. "Gift. For help," Lyra said. "We return your kindness." Jarek felt a mixture of awe and caution. They were offering him something beyond simple gratitude. It was a gift in the truest sense, energy that could be harnessed to improve technology, perhaps even weapons or ship systems. He understood the risk. This was power, and power could attract attention. But he also knew that refusing their help might break the fragile trust they had built. Celia touched his ship's hull gently, her fingers tracing patterns along the surface. A faint hum ran through the metal, and Jarek noticed the ship's energy output stabilize and increase slightly. "You did this?" he asked. "Yes," she said simply. "Ship. Better. Now." Jarek tested the systems. The engines ran, smoother. Sensors detected more accurately, and the ship's shields appeared stronger. He could hardly believe it. two small, fragile beings had enhanced his advanced human technology with nothing but their presence and energy. As they returned to the ship, Jarek felt a mixture of excitement and concern. He had seen humans improve technology through engineering, but this was something entirely new. It was more than science. It was a combination of biology, intuition, and perhaps a force he did not yet understand. Back inside the ship, the sisters moved with a quiet grace, exploring the controls. They seemed to understand the technology instinctively, their energy interacting with circuits and systems as if they were part of the ship itself. Jarek realized that this gift was not limited to one device. It could enhance anything they touched. "You trust us," Lyra said quietly, her eyes bright. "We trust you." Jarek smiled. "It's more than trust. It's teamwork now, and teamwork can make us stronger, if we stay together." The sisters nodded, a silent agreement passing between them. Jarek knew that this partnership was unusual. Humans often worked with alien species, but rarely had he seen a connection so immediate, so powerful. They were survivors, yes, but they were also more. They were allies, guides, and protectors all at once. As the ship prepared to take off for a short patrol of the nearby system, Jarek reflected on the events of the day. Feeding two starving sisters had seemed like a small, kind act, but it had led to something far greater: loyalty, friendship, and a gift that could change the course of his missions, and perhaps even humanity's reach in the galaxy. That night, as the ship hovered above the barren planet, the sisters rested near the ship's controls. Jarek watched them, feeling a mixture of respect and curiosity. He knew that their gift was only the beginning. If they had this much power now, what else might they be capable of? And how far would their abilities go if tested by the dangers of the galaxy? Above the ship, the stars gleamed cold and distant, but inside, the warmth of trust and cooperation filled the small space. Jarek understood one thing clearly. A simple act of kindness had become the start of a bond that could reach across the stars. And the galaxy would soon take notice of the unusual alliance between a human and two alien sisters, an alliance born from trust, survival, and a gift that no one could have predicted. Days passed quietly, but the calm was fragile. Captain Jarek had come to trust Lyra and Celia, and they had grown comfortable moving through the ship and exploring the planet together. Their abilities had proven extraordinary, sensing energy, enhancing technology, and navigating dangers that humans could not. Yet, the galaxy rarely left such unusual partnerships undisturbed. One morning, as the ship hovered over a jagged canyon, Jarek's sensors picked up a signal, small at first, then growing stronger. Alien vessels approaching from beyond the system. He frowned, recognizing the insignia of a faction notorious for attacking isolated planets and capturing rare species. "They've found us," he muttered. Lyra's eyes glowed faintly. "Hunters, dangerous," she said, her voice calm but alert. Celia crouched beside a control panel, her fingers brushing the ship's surface. A soft hum vibrated through the hull. "We stop them?" she asked. Jarek shook his head. "Not alone. We can't fight that many ships directly. But maybe, with your help, we can defend the planet and the ship." The sisters exchanged a glance. Their trust in him was clear, but so was their wariness. "We protect together," Lyra said. Jarek immediately began preparing the ship's defenses. Shields powered to maximum, weapon systems armed, and drones deployed to monitor the surrounding space. The sisters moved beside him, their small hands on the controls. With a wave of energy from Lyra, the shield output increased beyond normal parameters, flickering with a strange, pulsating light. Celia's touch on the targeting system seemed to sharpen the drone's sensors, allowing them to detect threats before they were visible on human instruments. The alien fleet approached rapidly. Jarek calculated the odds, outnumbered at least 5-1, and the aliens were experienced fighters. But the sisters' abilities gave him hope. As the first enemy ships came into range, a tense silence fell over the cockpit. Jarek's heart pounded. "Remember, stay calm. We fight smart, not just hard," he instructed. The alien ships fired. Energy beams streaked across space, striking the planet below and shaking the ship violently. Lyra's eyes glowed intensely, and the shields absorbed the blasts with unexpected efficiency. Celia's hands moved over the targeting system, redirecting the ship's weapons to precise points on the attacking vessels. Each shot hit its mark. Jarek could not believe it. With the sisters' help, the human ship, normally outmatched, was holding its ground. Enemy commanders grew cautious, unable to understand how a single ship, aided by two small aliens, could counter their numbers and precision. The sisters continued to enhance the ship's systems, their energy flowing into the controls, shields, and weapons. It was a perfect combination of human strategy and alien instinct. Jarek issued commands, guided by experience, while the sisters amplified the ship's capabilities in ways he had never imagined. During a critical moment, one of the enemy vessels broke through the outer defenses and targeted the ship directly. Jarek readied the countermeasures, but it was too late. The energy beam struck the hull. Sparks flew, and alarms blared. Celia reacted instantly. She pressed her hands against the damaged area. The hum of her energy flowed through the metal, sealing cracks and stabilizing the systems. The shields surged, deflecting further attacks. Jarek stared, astonished. "I've never seen anything like this," he muttered. The sisters' abilities were extraordinary, but their loyalty was just as remarkable. They risked themselves to protect him and the ship, moving with precise coordination and confidence. Jarek realized that their gift was not only in their powers, but in their willingness to act for someone else. The alien fleet, frustrated and unable to adapt, began retreating. Jarek and the sisters had successfully defended the planet. He let out a long breath, relief washing over him. The sisters returned to the ship's control room, exhausted but composed. "Safe. For now," Lyra said quietly. Jarek nodded, his mind racing. "We've shown them that we're not easy prey, but they'll be back or others will hear about you. Your abilities, they make you targets." The sisters looked at each other, then back at Jarek. "We trust together," Celia repeated, a firm promise in her voice. Jarek smiled, admiration mixing with concern. "Then we'll face them together," he said. That night, the three sat together in the ship's observation deck, looking out at the stars. Jarek reflected on how quickly things had changed. A simple act of kindness, feeding two starving alien sisters, had turned into a bond that could influence life and death in the galaxy. Lyra leaned forward, touching the glass. "We owe gift more," she said softly. Jarek raised an eyebrow. "More?" Celia nodded. "Not just power, knowledge, hidden secrets, planet help." Jarek's curiosity deepened. He realized the sisters' gift was more than energy enhancement. They had knowledge of the planet, its hidden systems, and perhaps even ancient technology that could be discovered. He understood that the galaxy was about to notice their presence, and not all attention would be friendly. The threat of the approaching alien fleet had been only the first sign. Others would come, drawn by rumor of the sisters' abilities. Jarek knew that preparing for the future meant more than weapons or shields. It meant understanding the sisters, learning their abilities, and building trust strong enough to withstand the challenges ahead. As the planet's night deepened, the ship's lights casting long shadows, Jarek realized one truth. This partnership was unlike any he had experienced. Humans had allies before, but rarely had they shared such a connection with beings so powerful and intelligent. The sisters, loyalty, combined with their abilities, gave humanity a glimpse of what could be achieved through courage, trust, and unexpected friendship. The stars above remained indifferent, distant, and cold. Yet inside the ship, warmth and determination thrived. Jarek, Lyra, and Celia were ready to face whatever threats came next. Together, they had proven that even in the vast, dangerous galaxy, unity and trust could overcome fear, danger, and overwhelming odds. And somewhere deep inside, Jarek knew that the galaxy's attention would soon focus on them, and what he had learned from two small, starving sisters might just be the key to surviving what was to come. The day began quietly, but Captain Jarek knew that calm would not last. The encounter with the alien fleet had left him alert. The galaxy was watching now, and any rumor of the sisters' abilities could bring more dangerous attention. He prepared the ship for patrol, running system checks and reviewing weapon protocols. Lyra and Celia stood beside him, their small forms tense but ready. "We feel danger," Lyra said softly, her eyes glowing faintly. Jarek nodded. "I know. That's why we need to be ready, but we can use our advantage, your abilities and human strategy together. That's something no enemy expects." Celia moved to the console, placing her hands on the surface. A soft hum filled the room as energy spread through the systems. Sensors became sharper, shields stabilized, and the ship's engines responded with smoother power. Jarek smiled. "Good. Let's see how much we can do with teamwork." The patrol began, and soon they detected multiple ships entering the system. Unlike the last attack, this fleet was larger and more organized. Jarek could tell immediately. These were not random raiders. They were experienced fighters, and they knew something unusual awaited them. "More than last," Celia warned. "Then we'll show them what humans can do," Jarek replied firmly. "And what allies can do when they trust each other." The enemy fleet advanced, their energy weapons primed. But this time, Jarek had a plan. He maneuvered the ship close to an asteroid field, drawing the enemy vessels into a natural trap. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter, sensing energy patterns within the asteroids. She guided Jarek, pointing out safe passages and areas where the enemy could be ambushed. Celia extended her hands over the ship's targeting systems. Her energy flowed into the circuits, sharpening their accuracy. Each shot from the ship found its mark, hitting critical points on the enemy vessels. Jarek had never seen targeting systems respond so precisely. Every maneuver calculated in real time, almost as if the sisters could anticipate the enemy's moves before they happened. The enemy fleet hesitated, confused by the human ships' coordination and the seemingly impossible abilities of its allies. Jarek seized the opportunity. He executed daring maneuvers, weaving through the asteroid field with precision, while the sisters amplified every system on board. They were no longer simply defending, they were turning the battle in their favor. Suddenly, one of the larger enemy ships broke formation and aimed directly at Jarek's ship. A massive energy beam struck, sending a shockwave through the hull. Alarms blared. "Brace!" Jarek shouted, gripping the controls, but Celia acted instantly. She pressed her hands against the hull where the beam struck. The hum of her energy flowed through the metal, repairing damage and reinforcing shields in an instant. Sparks that had threatened to ignite quickly disappeared. Jarek's eyes widened in awe. I've never seen anything like this." Lyra extended her hands over the enemy ship's energy field. The ship's weapons faltered as the sisters subtly disrupted its systems. The enemy vessel faltered, its movements jerky and uncoordinated. Jarek seized the chance, firing carefully targeted shots. The larger ship faltered, then retreated in disarray. The rest of the fleet, watching their strongest vessel fail, began to retreat. Jarek maneuvered the ship with Lyra's guidance, ensuring the retreat was complete and safe. When the final enemy vessel disappeared into the distance, the ship's systems returned to normal, and a quiet settled over the cockpit. The sisters breathed softly, their energy dimming but still faintly glowing. Jarek turned to them, his heart full of admiration. "You saved us. Not just the ship, but all of us." Lyra shook her head slightly. "We helped because you helped first. Kindness comes back," Celia added. "Together, stronger than many." Jarek smiled, feeling a mix of pride and humility. They were small and fragile-looking, yet their power and intelligence had turned the tide of battle. He realized that humanity's advantage was not only technology or strategy, it was trust, courage, and the willingness to form alliances that others could not imagine. After the battle, Jarek accessed a hidden compartment in the ship. Inside was a small, strange device that the sisters had indicated earlier. "What is this?" he asked. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes glowing softly. "Gift. For you. Reward. More than help." Celia nodded. "Knowledge, secrets, planet, power. You deserve." Jarek carefully examined the device. It was unlike any technology he had seen. It hummed faintly with energy, and its interface responded to the sisters' presence, amplifying its functions. He realized this was more than a gift. It was an ancient tool, perhaps even part of lost technology that could elevate humanity's capabilities. He looked at the sisters. "This is incredible. I don't know if I can fully understand it yet, but I promise we will use it wisely." Lyra and Celia exchanged a glance, a small smile appearing on their faces. They seemed satisfied with his answer. The sisters had given him more than power. They had given him trust, friendship, and access to knowledge that could change humanity's role in the galaxy. That evening, as the ship rested in orbit above the barren planet, Jarek stood beside the observation deck, looking at the stars. The sisters sat nearby, their eyes reflecting the distant light. He thought about how a simple act of feeding two starving alien sisters had led to this moment, an alliance that could turn the tides of battles, influence entire star systems, and challenge those who underestimated humans. The galaxy was dangerous, but with allies like Lyra and Celia, Jarek realized that humanity had more potential than anyone had imagined. The sisters had proven that trust and courage could create advantages that no technology alone could provide. And deep inside, Jarek knew that their story was far from over. The galaxy would notice them soon. Their abilities, combined with human ingenuity, could change more than one battle. They could change the balance of power itself. The stars outside were bright, indifferent, and endless. But inside the small ship, warmth, trust, and hope thrived. Captain Jarek and the sisters, human and alien, were ready for whatever challenges awaited, united by kindness, loyalty, and a gift that no one could have predicted. The galaxy was quiet for now, but Captain Jarek knew that peace was never permanent. Lyra and Celia, the two alien sisters who had trusted him with their lives, had grown stronger and more confident with each passing day. Their abilities had proven extraordinary, turning a simple human ship into a force that could defend itself against overwhelming odds. Yet Jarek sensed there was more to their gift, something he had not yet fully understood. That morning, the sisters approached, him in the observation deck. Their small hands rested on the railing, and their eyes shimmered with a faint glow. "We give more," Lyra said softly. Celia nodded. "Not just help, not just protection. Reward, now." Jarek raised an eyebrow, curious but cautious. "More? What do you mean?" The sisters did not answer in words alone. Lyra reached out and touched the ship's console. A soft hum filled the room, and the hidden device they had revealed earlier began to react. Symbols glowed faintly on its surface, pulsing in rhythm with the sisters' energy. Jarek watched in awe as the device projected a holographic map of the surrounding star systems. "These maps?" he asked. "They show more than exploration data. What is this?" Lyra's voice was quiet but certain. "Knowledge of energy, hidden planets, secrets, lost technology, all for you, for humans." Celia stepped closer. "We share because you shared kindness, trust, rewarded." Jarek understood immediately. This was not a simple gift. The sisters were offering access to knowledge that had been lost to the galaxy for centuries. Ancient technology, hidden energy sources, and information that could change humanity's reach in space. The implications were staggering. He hesitated, humbled. I don't know if humans are ready for this. It's powerful. Maybe too powerful." Lyra shook her head gently. "Humans, clever, strong, brave. You make right choice. We trust," Celia added. "Together, use, wisely, galaxy, see, new future." Jarek's heart swelled with gratitude. He realized that their gift was not just power or knowledge. It was a symbol of trust and friendship, something far more valuable than any weapon or technology. The sisters were not only allies, they were partners, guiding humanity toward possibilities it had never imagined. The ship hummed with renewed energy. Jarek moved to the console, following the holographic map projected by the device. He could see hidden planets, energy fields, and dormant structures scattered across the nearby star systems. With the sisters' help, he could navigate through uncharted territory safely and efficiently. "This changes everything," he said softly. "Humanity could reach places we never dreamed of." Lyra smiled faintly. "Yes, dream, become real. But you, first step, courage, kindness," Celia added. "Reward, not ours alone, yours, together, all humans." Jarek realized that the sisters' act of giving was not just personal, it was a gift to humanity itself. By trusting a human and sharing their abilities, they had opened doors that no one else could access. This was the beginning of a partnership that could elevate humans in the galaxy, proving that compassion and courage could create strength beyond technology or brute force. Suddenly, the ship's sensors detected distant signals. Other species, watching, curious, and cautious. Rumors of the sisters' abilities and the human alliance were spreading. Jarek understood that this attention could be dangerous, but it also meant that humanity had a chance to demonstrate its ingenuity and courage. He turned to the sisters. "We'll need to be careful. Others will come, and not all will be friendly." Lyra nodded. "We face together. No fear, trust, strong." Celia added, "We teach, guide, help, human, ready." The three of them stood together in the observation deck, looking out at the vastness of the galaxy. Stars glimmered coldly, distant and indifferent. Yet inside the ship, warmth and determination thrived. Jarek felt a sense of purpose he had never experienced before. A simple act of feeding two starving sisters had grown into something far greater, a bond that could shape the future. Over the next few hours, Jarek worked with Lyra and Celia to understand the device. They showed him how to locate energy sources, ancient structures, and hidden planets. Each discovery was a revelation. Humanity had long dreamed of exploring the galaxy, but with the sisters' guidance, it could now do so with precision, safety, and strategic advantage. As night fell over the barren planet below, the sisters rested nearby, their hands occasionally brushing against the device to keep its systems active. Jarek stood quietly, reflecting on the journey. He thought about the day he had found them, starving, vulnerable, and wary, and how a small act of kindness had led to this partnership. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, yet Jarek felt hope. He knew that with allies like Lyra and Celia, humans could face challenges that no other species had overcome. Their abilities, combined with human ingenuity, courage, and compassion, created a force unlike any other. Finally, Jarek spoke softly. "You've given humanity a gift far beyond anything I imagined. I don't know what the future holds, but I promise, we will use this wisely. We will honor your trust." Lyra smiled, her eyes glowing softly. Trust, never broken, always remembered. Celia added, "Future, ours, yours, together, strong." Jarek looked at the sisters and felt a deep sense of gratitude and responsibility. Their friendship, their loyalty, and their extraordinary abilities had not only saved lives but had opened a new path for humanity. It was a reward beyond expectation, a gift of knowledge, trust, and possibility that could shape the galaxy. The stars outside seemed brighter now, endless points of light in the dark void, full of opportunities. And inside the ship, a human and two alien sisters stood together, ready to face whatever the universe had in store. They had proven that courage, kindness, and trust could overcome any obstacle, and that even the smallest act of compassion could lead to extraordinary outcomes. Jarek knew one thing with certainty. The galaxy would never forget this story, the story of a human who fed two starving alien sisters, and the sisters who, in return, gave him a gift far greater than he could have imagined.